The topic of test anxiety is a very important topic to me and many others, as it unfortunately affects a numerous amount of students' educational success. Some students say they have never experienced test anxiety, but sometimes a certain saying, symptom, or action can indicate that you truly are suffering from test anxiety. An extreme amount of students, no matter what level of education they are enrolled in, experience some sort of test anxiety in their life. Test anxiety can be diminished by the help of understanding what test anxiety actually is and certain strategies to help solve the issue. The first point I will discuss is actually what test anxiety is. Many people are uneducated on the topic of test anxiety and don't know the proper explanation of the situation. According to Japan magazine, test anxiety is when students encounter extreme levels of stress, nervousness, and apprehension during testing that drastically hinders their ability to perform well and negatively affects their social, emotional, and behavioral development and feelings about themselves and school. The problem with people not understanding what test anxiety is that people don't know what symptoms they're looking for when people say they're suffering from test anxiety. The three types of symptoms associated with test anxiety are physical, behavioral, and affective symptoms. All three types of symptoms that I'm going to describe are provided to us by the 2011 Council for Exceptional Children. First are the physical symptoms. These are all very common symptoms that we can all agree that we have had during a test. The first is excessive perspiration or sweaty palms, headache or stomach ache, shaking body parts, which means you're nervous as soon as you think about the test. Rapid heartbeat. Your heartbeat gets faster as you think about the test and start to get stressed out. Your muscles become more tense. And you have a difficulty sleeping and eating a couple days before and definitely the night before the big test. The next is behavioral symptoms. A student can have off-task behaviors like inappropriate comments, fidgeting, squirming, pacing, staring, or crying. A student can ask a lot of unnecessary questions about the test, maybe try to delay time or try to get more answers out of the teacher. Students tend to feel overwhelmed during the test. Students start cheating on tests. And many students fake illnesses or try to be absent on the day of the test. And we all know that that's happened in our lives. Affective symptoms. Making negative self-statements. Having pessimistic expectations, such as, I know I'm going to fail this test. Being unmotivated. Negative comparisons to others, such as, I'm not as smart as that person is, or I can't do as good as them. Making excuses for poor test performance, such as, I don't do well on tests because I suffer from test anxiety, and they don't. Those are all main points that people need to know when learning about test anxiety. Next, I will talk about the most important aspect of the topic, how to help students cope with this troubling issue. First, I will talk about things to do before the test. Students should review class material as part of their regular homework assignment. Go over the notes that you just did in class that day. Read introductions and headlines in the textbook so you know what all the topics connect with. Reread old tests and assignments and get used to the questions you know the teacher is going to ask. Have someone quiz you when you're doing another task, such as cleaning, or for me, I've had people ask me questions when I'm outside shooting baskets. Practice vocab while riding on the bus to school if you don't have a car, or riding in a long car ride. Look through your notebook while traveling to a place for a long time. And once you know the test date, you want to do things such as figure out what topics will be on the test. What percentage of your grade does this test consist of? How much time do you have to complete the test? And what can be used, such as a calculator, book, cheat sheet, and sometimes we have open book tests. Students can take practice tests, or make a review sheet and ask the teacher for one, and then put it in their own words so they understand it more. Get plenty of sleep days before the test, and avoid friends or classmates that are making negative comments, as that'll just make you more nervous and stressed out. Now, what to do the day of the test. Get to the test with plenty of time to spare so you don't feel rushed. When you arrive, motivate yourself and take a last look at all your notes instead of talking to classmates that can make those negative comments to bring you down. Relax and think of positive things when you start getting stressed. Make sure you're prepared for anything: pen, pencil, calculator, cheat sheet, scrap paper, or anything else. And now, what to do during the test. Look over the test, read the directions, plan out the test, schedule the time that you have. Quickly write down formulas, rules, or anything else that you could forget as soon as you start the test. Start with the easiest questions first, and then the harder last. Focus on the test. Don't think about how you're going to do, what happens if you don't do well. Just focus. If you don't know an answer, circle it and come back to it. If you sit there and waste your time, you won't have enough time. If you feel anxious, take a minute to relax and think positive. For essays, organize your thoughts in an outline and slowly write down your main ideas after you come up with topic sentences. Those are the most important steps needed to help alleviate the problems related to test anxiety before the test, the day of the test, and during the test. Throughout my research and speech, my goal was to inform people on test anxiety and what it can truly do to troubling students and what they can do to solve the issue. An extreme amount of students, no matter what level of education they are enrolled in, experience some sort of test anxiety. That can be diminished by the help of understanding what test anxiety is and what to do to help the issue. The main points I talked about were what is test anxiety and symptoms, and what are the easiest way to help the issue. Nervous students, definitely including myself, have suffered from some sort of test anxiety. Some students' issues are so acute they don't know they have a problem, and some students are so large they don't know how to get rid of the problem. I suggest that anyone in any level of education research this topic more seriously, and even for the kids and adults that say they don't experience bad test anxiety, they should still research it, and the topics that I said will make everyone's test day easier.